Hey YouTube, what's going on? So 2 weeks ago I uploaded my video with my predictions for the Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle, and just wanted to say a big thank you to those of you that commented on that video, shared it around, those who commented on Reddit or sent me messages on Instagram and stuff saying what your predictions were and spinning yarn to me about Slopestyle. Super enjoyed that. And so because of that, I decided to put a poll up seeing if anyone wanted to see my reaction to the top 5 runs from the Crankworx Slopestyle, my thoughts on the Innsbruck Slopestyle event. And it was about 70% of the people did want it and about 30% didn't. So I decided I am going to do it because I love talking about it. And chances are if they didn't want to see it, they haven't clicked on that. If you didn't want to see it and you have clicked on it, don't worry, there'll be a different video next week. But yeah, we're going to get into the my reaction to Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle. And like, this event was crazy. Like, if you thought the level was high beforehand, I thought the level was high beforehand even a year ago. Like, it has just gone through the roof. Everyone having all this time off from contest to practice during the whole COVID situation, everyone training hard with no pressure from contests or events, has just resulted in like the level of riding being so high. And, you know, usually in Crankworx Slopestyle events, if you get a 90, you're guaranteed top 3 or even like potentially first if you have a score of 90 plus. All the top 5 runs all scored 90 or higher. It was an absolutely mental event. And so what we're going to do for today's video is I'm going to get into my reaction and sort of like thoughts on the top 5 runs. So obviously I've already watched them because I watched them live and it was wicked. But I'm going to replay them now, have you guys watch them, sort of give my thoughts on them and what I think because it was crazy. So let's get into that now. Okay guys, so starting off with 5th place and one of my favorite runs, we had Tim Bringer. So Tim Bringer's run was absolutely epic. We're going to get into that now.
Tim Bringer was a 2019
And so as it says, he was a 2019 Crankworx Red Bull Rookie of the Year. So he's relatively new to competing in slopestyle, but he's really proven himself and shown how good he is. And this run was just testament to that. Okay, so here he goes. He starts things off on this drop. Relatively basic. This has a tail whip, like decent move, but basic compared to some. But then 1, 2, and a bar. Flip, double whip, 2 bar spin. Absolutely mental. On the boner log, flip whip on the boner. That is so crazy hard to do. Regular double whip there, sounded a bit sketchy, but a double whip's still a good move. Here, double truck, sorry. So pretty easy through the hips. But then flip tuck no hander into the whale tail. Double single truck out, so not bad, pretty standard. But then here, double backflip tuck no hander with huge extension. Such a cool run. Like, he was stoked on it, as you can tell. Crowd was pretty stoked on it. And actually really cool they're able to have a crowd at this Crankworx event. And if I just fast forward a little bit here into the replays of his run. So here we go. It's flip 1, 2 tail whips, and a bar spin. Absolutely crazy. That is so hard. Like, squeaking that bar in last second. Quick hands, quick feet. Boner log flip whip is massive. I think I've only ever seen Brett Reeder do that. And what's so hard about that is on the boner log, like most jumps are a lip like this, they have a curve to them, so it's really easy to flip. A boner log is literally, if I use my phone here, literally like this, okay? There's no lip, there's no curve to generate any like momentum for your flip, so it is very hard to flip off there, and he's doing a flip whip, so that's pretty crazy. Landed a bit sketchy, so he only did a double whip here. I think he probably would have done a triple whip, because I've seen him do it on his Instagram if he could have, but landed a bit sketchy, opted for double whip. Then here, double truck, flip no hander in, pretty standard stuff for this level slopestyle, truck driver out. I shouldn't say standard because it's crazy, but then here, 1, 2, huge eagle tuck no hander on the double flip. One of the coolest tricks I've ever seen, like, awesome run. Actually, here's another look at his flip tuck no hander. He has very good extension because he's such a tall guy. He can really get his hands far away from the bike because he stands so far away from it. There's another look at that double whip there, just staring at those pedals. Absolutely dialed run, and I think he scored, it'll say in a second, I think he's like 90.5 or something. We'll have a look in a second here, but yeah, that double whip, absolutely perfect. Crazy how he hugs the cranks a bit there. Celebration, and he's stoked. Like, that double flip tuck no hander, probably my favorite trick of this event. And so his score had him in 5th place, and he got, if I just fast forward here, he scored 90. And so that was actually one of the first runs of the event as well, so it was pretty crazy to see. I think he might have been the 5th rider to drop in, 5th or 4th rider to drop in, and he scored a 90, which was just crazy. And like, that run was next level, so I already knew 5 riders in it was going to be an epic event, and it was. Okay, so now let's get into the 4th place run from Eric Fedko. Okay. And now we're into Eric Fedko. As I said, one to never count out. When I predicted would be in the top 5, and here's his 4th place run. So on the drop, truck driver, 2 X up, so triple combo there. Then here, boom, flip Superman seat grab. Such a cool extension trick, so unique. Off the boner log, going 3 whips, super smooth, super hard to 3 whip down something. Here, that seat grab Indian Air 3, one of the coolest tricks in slopestyle. Flip bar to whip on the next hip, very cool linkage there. into the whale tail, 360 down whip, and then flip whip out. Very, very hard and risky to link up. And then on the last one, truck driver, tail whip, 2 bar. So that's 360 bar spin, tail whip, bar spin. So crazy. You have to have such quick hands and like have your feet back on the pedals locked in straight away to do that last bar. So it's such a sick move. It's one I've never seen him do in a contest, but I've seen him do it Audi 9, so it's super exciting to see him do it in the event. And as you can see, he was just pumped. He was excited, he was relieved, so sick. So if we fast forward here to the replay.
Yeah, maybe some family. You can see it.
There it is, that truck to X up. Then here, flip Superman seat grab side on. Actually, if I just rewind, I'll try and pause that right on the right point. Boom, look at that. His body is completely straight out grabbing the seat. That is so cool. Like, that would be a dream trick to be able to do. Don't think I'd ever learn it, but that is just so flipping cool. Like, that's freestyle motocross style on a push bike. Massive extension. Boom, there it is from the back. Straight to the pedals. I think the only guy on the tour doing it, actually. Then there, that 3-whip, just clutch move to have in a good run on the step down. So hard to judge. Here, that seat grab Indian Air 3. Actually, if I rewind again, we'll try and pause right at the right spot. Look at that. Boom, fully scissor kicked out. And he's looking back at his back leg. Like, that is so sick. I think they actually give you a second angle in here. Oh, such a cool trick. 2 of the coolest tricks. And flip bar to whip, so difficult. And just so dialed. In the middle of the run as well. 3 down whip into the whale tail, risky one to do in. And then flip whip out. Very, like, just dialed riding. Then here, bar spin, tail whip, bar spin, and a 360. He's hyped. One more look at bar, whip, bar. Just dialed. What a guy. And like caught it perfectly. He's stoked. I was stoked. The crowd was stoked. So if I fast forward here, what was his score? So he did come 4th. I really would like to have seen him come 3rd actually, which would have been really cool because I think he was super deserving of a podium. He's a guy who worked real hard, but I think he would have been stoked with 4th. I would have been stoked with 4th. So it's such a good run. So let's get a score here. So he scored a 91.5, so that's like massive score in the 90s. Can't really complain with that. And just so sick, the flip Superman seat grab, flip seat grab Indy. Like I did say, the double flip no hander is my favorite trick, but these other 2 tricks are close, like tie for second equal, because they're so sick. What we'll get into now is a 3rd place run, which was actually from Torquato Testa from Italy. He's podiumed at Crankworx before, but not in the last few years. So I didn't actually expect him to podium at this event, because he hasn't done too well at it before. So we start off truck driver on that drop, then on this massive dirt double flipping that. Such a snarly, risky move at the start of your run, so crazy to see him do that. Then the boner log, flip tuck no hander, again hard to flip. This is where it gets nasty. Oppo Crankowrx 720 on the first hit, perfect. Regular Crankowrx 720. So Crankowrx 720 is the hardest trick I've ever done, both ways. Truck driver into the whale tail. Flip no foot can out, super original, no one else is doing that. And then on the last one, with a perfect cash roll. Like, that was a very dialed run. Had, besides a front, actually no, it did have a front flip variation. Had a 360 front flip, the cash roll. Basically had a rotation on every axis. He had all the big rotation tricks. Double flip, Crankowrx 7, Oppo Crankowrx 7. Had a couple flip combos on step downs, had the truck driver in, and had a cash roll. So that's an all-around, like, real deal run. So we'll fast forward here a bit. So on the drop, had the truck driver, pretty standard trick to start off there. This double flip on that jump is so gnarly and so risky at the start. Like, you've got to get that perfect, otherwise your run is over. Then falls out, flip tuck no hander on the boner log. Then here, opposite Crankowrx 720. And so the Crankowrx 720 is the hardest trick I can do on a straight jump. This jump is hipped, so he's got to rotate about, instead of 720, he has to rotate about 760 degrees. And he's doing it the opposite way, like just mind-blowing. And then right after that, does the same thing his regular way. So showing that he's ambidextrous with like basically the biggest trick in slopestyle, one of the biggest tricks. Absolutely gnarly. Truck driver in, flip no foot can out, super cool trick to see. Then here to finish that cash roll, super sick run. And like, well, really cool to see him actually get that wrong, because I think it's the only one to do it the last couple of years events, but just couldn't quite link up those Crankowrx 7s the way he wanted. Here's a quick slow-mo look at that Oppo Crankowrx 7, just crazy position he's in, but spots that landing and just like rolls out perfectly smooth. Like, that is dialed, and that is unreal. It's his opposite way. Like, there is no, oh, and then here's his regular Crankowrx 7, I believe. Yes, it is his regular Crankowrx 7. He's spinning towards his back foot. Interesting that he has the same technique both ways. Like, that's so dialed to do that. I cannot imagine how hard it would be to do an Oppo Crankowrx 7. And what's actually crazy about that is Brett Reeder not last year, but in 2019 when he won the event, he did that same thing. Well, the first one he did Oppo Cork 7, then the next one he did Cork 7 bar. So crazy to think that even 2 years ago, Brett Reeder was so far ahead of the game. But not to take away from Torquato Testix, that was dialed. And with this run, he scored here we go, 93.25, I believe the highest score he's ever got in Crankworx, and got him that bronze medal. So stoked for him, super well deserved. We'll now get into our second place run. Okay guys, so no surprises here. We have Nikolai Ogakin in that number 2 spot. Just as I predicted, he was going to be either first, second, or third on the podium make or break run. He made a run down, so this is exciting. Flip flat drop, that's new for him. Then here, the twister, the 1080, just flipping crazy trick on that big dirt jump. Then on the step down, Bunnerlog 3-whip, massive move. Here, cash roll, grabbing the seat for those extra style points. Straight into a double whip. Interesting he didn't do a triple whip here, but the double whip's still real big. Front flip into the whale tail, super risky. Then this, cork 720 out. Only guy in the field doing that on the day. And then opposite cash roll. Cash roll is probably, like, I can't do them. I've never been able to do them in the foam put or airbag and the celebration. Cash roll is probably the hardest rotational trick to do, and he does an Oppo one. And check out the camaraderie with Emilio Hansen. They're stoked. Nikolai stoked. But to get back to that cash roll is the hardest rotation to do, I imagine. And doing an Oppo must just be crazy. And for Nikolai, he's never done an Oppo trick in a competition. So you might think, like, oh, I might do an Oppo whip or something easy like an Oppo 3. He debuts an Oppo cash roll. Like, he's been doing his homework and it's paid off. So he ended up in second place. Let's get into some of these slow-mo replays of his run. So flat drop flip, that's another new one for him. So definitely working on drop tricks. That 1080, the twister, he's been doing it for years now and just still blows my mind. Like, there's such a crazy rotation, lands dead straight. Then here the 3-whip backs up with another huge crux move. Then into the hips. Cash roll, grabbing the seat as well. So the only guy doing a cash roll variation in the crowd. Straight into a double whip, doesn't miss a beat, never slows down. There's that double whip straight to pedals. Then to the whale tail, front flip in, super risky because when you front flip you travel forward. Then the 360 backflip or cork 7 out. Such a crazy trick. No one else in the day was doing that. But unfortunately, Alex Alanko, another Swedish guy, in practice he was doing it, but unfortunately he crashed. So he didn't get to do his cork 720 in his run, but the one he did in practice on the step down was dialed. So real bummed he didn't get to debut that, but he will in the future. So shout out to Alex Alanko, like, he's been putting in work as well. But back to Nikolai. And then here, the Oppo cash roll. And honestly, in my opinion, his Oppo cash roll actually looks cool on his regular cash roll. His regular cash rolls, he's definitely upside down. But on that Oppo one, he is super upside down. Then the Nikolai double pump, the Sully, the celebration. One of the coolest things about watching him do slopestyle. And then, like, he's always stoked for other people. So Nikolai is definitely one of my favorite things to watch. And what was really interesting about his run when we're watching this replay here, just that front flip in, is that he actually crashed in his first run, so he was one of the first ones to go in the second round. Man, that regular cork 7 on the step down is crazy. He crashed in his first run, so he only had one more chance left to do it. He was in the pressure cooker, and he really provided, so it was just super sick. And he was rewarded with it, and he scored a 95.5. Like, there's only 4.5 more points you can get. Like, that's crazy. Came second place for it. Just stoked for him, stoked to watch. It was so much fun. Nikolai always just lays it all on the table. So, let's get into first place, and I bet you can guess who it is. None other than Emilio Hansen. Okay, so I've got Emilio Hansen's winning run loaded up here, but before we play it, like I said with Nikolai Ogakin, Nikolai actually crashed in his first run, so he only had one chance to make it work, and normally it doesn't happen. Normally Nikolai's sitting on top or in the top 2 after his first run, so that made it really interesting. But also, Emil actually crashed in his first run as well, which I don't think I've ever seen happen in a slopestyle event, not one of the ones he's won anyway. So he crashed in his first run, made an uncharacteristic mistake on a trip we've seen him do heaps, so he was also under a lot of pressure here. He only had one run to make it happen, so it just made it like, it was nail-biting stuff to watch. It was super exciting to watch. But rather than talk about it, let's get into this run, because it was wild and it's hard to see what's going on here, but I'll try my best to commentate it. So he starts off same as Nikolai, flat drop flip. Then on this jump, front flip bar spin to tuck no-hander. Such a cool front flip combo and does it dialed, huge extension of the no-hander. Here, 3 double down whip on the boner log. Never seen it done by anyone. Then 360 windshield wiper, same trick we've seen him do the last couple of years. It's nuts. Then Oppo 3 whip to unturn down. Man, these are some tongue twisters. Opposite 3 double down whips, the opposite way to before. Truck driver to down whip, huge trick on the step down. Then the finish, Oppo truck to down whip. Like, just nuts. All the biggest 360 bar spin tail whip, 360 tail whip kind of tricks you can do. Doing them both ways, showing each one regular and Oppo. Just like, What the heck? It's so crazy. Like, it is so hard to do a regular 3 whip, and he's adding like 2 other tricks to them, doing them opposite, doing them regular. I'm pretty sure like that 3 double down whip on the boner log was a world's first. And to do an oppo 3 double down whip, that's potentially a world's first as well on mountain bike. Just so crazy. Well deserving of the win. He was stoked and relieved. Let's get into the slow-mo replays from him. So here, actually we'll go back a little bit. Flat drop flip, starts off relatively chill compared to the rest. Front flip bar to huge no-hander, so proper extension on that. No sloppy no-handers. Around the berm. Then here, 3 double down whip on the boner log. Never seen that done before. And actually, I'll just pause for a second. The only other 2 guys I've ever seen do the 3 double down whip are David Godziak, who wasn't competing unfortunately, and Benny Phillips. I don't think I've seen any other mountain biker do a 3 double down whip, especially in a contest. So that is just crazy. He's doing it on a boner log when other guys are only just barely doing it on jumps. Then here, the trick that he's known for, that 360 windshield wiper, so sick. Kicks it the other way. Oppo 3 whip, 2-1 turn down. Never seen anyone do that before in an Oppo 3. Seen it in regular 3, but Oppo is pretty sick. Then opposite 3 double down whip into the whale tail. Truck to regular down whip, just nuts. Like the linkage and even remembering his tricks. Then here, opposite 360, opposite bar spin to opposite down whip. Just nuts being able to do, even able to do that trick one way, like puts you up there with the best riders in the world. Like if you can do that trick in a single direction, you're probably on this world tour contest, but he's doing it in both directions, which is just crazy and was super deserving of the win. And so, actually sorry, there's a few more slow-mo replays here. Opposite 3 double down whip here. And so what a double down whip is, it's when you spin one way but tail whip the bike the other way, because normally when you do a 3 whip, you would be spinning to the left, spinning anti-clockwise and tail whipping anti-clockwise. For example, for me, if I was to do a 360 down whip, I would spin anti-clockwise but tail whip my bike clockwise. So your bike's rotating the opposite way to you, which makes it real hard. And he's doing this not only with 1 whip, with 2 whips and in both directions. And doing his opposite one into whale tail. So risky. So if you crash in the whale tail, there's no chance you're doing your trick out or even having a chance of landing your run. So just huge move to do. Then here, straight after they got the pedals, perfect truck, down whip out of the whale tail, massive trick out of a drop. I don't think I've seen anyone else do that on a drop. Maybe Eric Fedko may have. And then here, I think this is a 360 windshield wiper. Yes, boom, kicks that frame and that tire. Look at the chain bouncing, even like kicking the chain. So crazy, that trick. And then look at that, gets his feet straight to the pedals. Even though the crank's moved, he immediately finds his pedals. Like this guy is just, like just an absolute professional. Look at the celebration. He's stoked. So if we get into his score, I think they actually interviewed him for a wee bit before his score, so I'll have to fast forward a bit here. Okay, and a 97.5. Don't know if it's the highest slopestyle score ever. I think Reader and Nikolai and Brent have scored close to that, but there's only 2.5 other points he can make up in that. So like, they're either gonna have to start judging slopestyle events harder, or like Emil's gonna start scoring 100s because he is just getting so good. Like his run was just, man, it was nuts. So crazy and such a crazy event. Well deserving of first. Like, man, just so sick. Sweet guys, so that is my reactions and kind of thoughts on the Crankworx Innsbruck top 5 slopestyle runs. Of those runs, like I think the judging was really fair and judged really well. Like, to some of you, you may think that Emil's run, like, how did that score higher than Nikolai's run? Or, like, he didn't do a double flip or something like that. How did that score higher? While he didn't have a couple of the huge rotational tricks like those guys had, the technicality and the absolute mental difficulty of doing those whips and bars and doing them both ways is just, it's so hard. And honestly, like, if I'd attempt either Emil's or Nikolai's or Torquato's run, like, any day, I would attempt Nikolai's or Torquato's run. And like, honestly, in their run, there's actually a trick I could land. Like, I can cork 7 and I've done double flip. I've done a couple double flips, sorry. Like, I've actually done those tricks before, and I'm not even, like, even if I tried my hardest all day, I don't think I could get even close to some of those tricks, even on the airbag that Emil did. So, well deserving of first. Nikolai fairly judged in second. Torquato fairly judged in third. I did sort of think that Eric Fedko maybe should have got third, not Torquato, because his run had, like, that bar, whip, bar, had the flip bar to whip, had like the flip whip out of the whale tail, had the 3 down whip into the whale tail, but I think what he was missing was one of those big rotational tricks like a Cork 7 or a cash roll or a double flip, and Torquato had all three of those, and he had the Oppo Cork 7, which I think made the difference. And he also had like the truck driver and the flip tuck no hander on the boner log, so I think he just edges out Vedco, but both amazing runs. Then Tim Bringer, I think for him to get higher, what he needed to do was obviously where he did that double whip in the straight double truck, he probably needed a triple whip and maybe like a triple truck driver or maybe like a Cork 7 or something like that to make up the difference. But sick run from him. And overall, I think the judging has scored really well. I just really quickly want to show you guys a couple of my other favorite moments from the event. So what I want to show you is Paul Creder's, both of his runs actually, just purely for the celebration he had at the end and like just the energy he had, because it was absolutely epic. So we'll get into Paul's two runs now. Okay, so here we go. Paul Creder, one of the best mountain bikers in the world. Actually, I'll put a link in my bio, in the bio of this video, to his movie, his YouTube edits called My War, because they're absolutely crazy. This guy invents some of the craziest tricks in the world. So start off, flat drop, flip double bar, pretty basic compared to some other guys, but still a massive move that I can't even get close to doing. Flip 1 foot can on the boner log, massive move there. Here, 3 whip, super smooth. Then this, boom, Oppo 3 one hand X up, so steezy. Into the whale tail, flip whip in, which is really unique. And then double truck out, super fast hands. And here we go, one of the coolest tricks in the game, double flip. And man, listen to the celebration. He is so hyped, so cool to see. Basically tackling his brother over. He's so happy, so excited. So cool to see the emotion coming out of him. And just look at him, he's jumping up and down, he's hyped. So cool. And like, this is what makes mountain biking stuff like this so flippin' cool. Like, so the reason why he's celebrating there is Paul Creder, during his movie My War, he was going for a crazy, I think it's My War 2 actually, his second one. He's going for this crazy trick where, I won't spoil it too much, but it's a world's first trick where he was doing very hard variation off a drop. You'll have to watch that edit to see it, and like, I don't want to spoil it because it is crazy. And he ends up putting his leg out, and he had a tibial plateau fracture, so in his knee, he tore his ACL and broke his tibia and fibula where it connects to the ACL. So I've actually suffered from an ACL tear myself, and like, I was out of riding for basically a year and a half because of it, because I had to wait for surgery, then recovering for surgery took ages. He had a worse injury than me, and that injury happened 4 months before this event. And he worked so hard, had specialists, had physios, had surgeons to get himself ready to compete at this event. And to do that and come back stronger than he did before and land this run, this must have felt crazy. And to see him just show that raw emotion from doing that was just so cool, got me hyped. And I mean, I haven't experienced it at that level, but I remember when I did my first flip, because I tore my ACL doing a backflip. When I did my first flip again, landed it, like, I remember being so psyched having the celebration, so I can relate to that. It's why we love riding bikes. It's such a cool feeling. And he actually got to get 2 clean runs now, which was pretty cool. So I'll show you his second run. Let's go to find it here. Here we go, his second run. So his first run score had him in 8th place. Pretty flippin' respectable after coming back from an injury. Just respectable in general, like for being in the top 8 in the world for mountain biking. Pretty wild. So this is his second run. He's about to drop in here. And like, he actually steps up from the first one, which is crazy. So here we go. Off the drop, flat drop flip, same as the start. And then here on the big double flip on that huge jump. Like, he's already proven he's back and decides to risk it all and double flip that. So stepping up the run, which is crazy. True competitor, true athlete. And here, 720 instead of a 3 whip. Nearly blows the tire out there. Oppo 3 one hand X up. Slips a pedal, but didn't actually touch the ground. Flip bar spin in instead of the flip whip in. Regular trucks to a double truck, but then here on the last jump, opposite regular 720. And look at the celebration. All of his mates are stoked. Crowd stoked. And here you go. Look at this guy. Like, he's stoked on mountain biking. It is so cool to see. Look at him, like, just basically taking other guys out and celebrating. So cool to see. Like, just warms your heart to see that. Like, so cool. It's what this sport's all about. So it was really cool to see that, because I can relate to it. And it's just, you know, you have those moments with your buddies and you land one of your first tricks, or like with the video where I landed my first ever double flip, which I'll put a wee thing to in the video somewhere. Like, the emotion you feel in the sport is just crazy. It sounds stupid, but like, you pour your heart and soul into it, especially these guys where it's their career, and it's, man, it's cool to see. And so, to finish this off, I wanted to show you Tim Bringer's second run. So Tim, we already know he came 5th, and that was during his first run that he did. And his second run, he decided to goof off and do a pretty funny run. So I'll just, rather than hype it up, I'll show you it. It was pretty hilarious, and I enjoyed it very much. I think you will too. Here we go, Tim Bringer's second run. So he dropped in, tail whip, same as before. So maybe he's gonna try and step it up. Then just a straight flip no-hander, so like, oh, okay, he's probably waving it off, or he's got something huge here. And he did have something huge. Massive bar hump on the hip. A huge bar hump. Looks at the crowd. Regular 360. So, like, obviously just waving the run off. Decides to have fun. Oh, massive bar hump up. Setting up here. And then for the crowd. Huge flip tuck no-hander. Holding his hands off for ages. And so you might be thinking, why would he do that? Why would he do one of his hard runs again and try and do better? I think for Tim, he knew if he risked it all, he might get one place higher, but it's not really worth it. He's in the top 5. He's got the next event to think about, the next 2 events to think about, actually. So decided to have a bit of fun, celebrate his 5th place run, play it safe, and do some massive bar humps to the crowd. So again, they actually did do a slow-mo replay of them as well. So let's just find that. So there, boom, full extension off the boner log, looking at the crowd. Straight into another one. Oh, and that's just hilarious doing a bar hump. Like, it is the funniest thing you can do on a bike, and I thought it was great. I think they do show you a slow-mo here. Even that big 360 is world-class riding. That is a big jump to 3. Double thrust into the whale tail coming out. And then here on that last jump, oh, huge extension on that flip tuck no-hander. That is nuts how far he gets his arms off. Like, such a dialed rider. And I think, yeah, here we go. Look at that. Big smile on his face. Huge bar hump, looking at the crowd, having a laugh. He's going to be stoked, doing what he loves, got away safely, and did the run he wanted to do. So cool to see, and just, yeah, hilarious to see him do that in the event and see he's having fun. So you want to see guys having fun in this sport. Awesome, guys. So that is my reaction and thoughts on the Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle. Definitely one of my favorite Crankworx events I've ever watched. Like, the level was so high, and especially after not having slopestyle for over a year, and then last year when we had this event, it was wet and windy, so the riders couldn't quite ride how they wanted. Seeing this event, seeing everyone just get their runs down, and actually no one got injured, and most people got at least one clean run down. Just so good to see, and just, man, the sport of slopestyle is just growing and growing. The progression is nuts. Like, you think the level's high and it's here, then all of a sudden, next contest, it's up here, it's through the roof. So, super enjoyable. That is going to be the end of this week's video, so I do hope you guys have enjoyed this. I really love talking about this, and this gets me so excited talking about slopestyle. I can't wait till my wrist is better so I can go do some of my own riding. And like, watching this, while I'm not on this level, I don't think I ever will be, it does really inspire me to get me on my bike and get me hyped. I hope it does for you as well. If you haven't watched the Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle, and you're like, man, I'd actually quite like to watch that, I'll put a link in this video in the description of where you can watch the top 5 runs on YouTube on Red Bull Bike, and where you can watch the full replay of the event. And if you just Google Red Bull Bike, you'll be able to find it. And be sure to leave some comments below as well about what your thoughts were on the event. Maybe if you think the judging should have been different, or if you had a favorite part of the event, I'd love to hear about it, because as I said, I love talking about slopestyle. But that's going to be the end of this week's video, guys. So be sure to give the video a like. It helps me out heaps. Leave some comments below. Share the video around with people you think might find it interesting. And please subscribe if you're new. We'll see you in the next one, team. Cheers for watching.